This is Barbara with Cana Girl Speaks podcast. My voice, your voice. Good evening, everybody. This is Barbara with the Cana Girl Speaks podcast, and I always open up thanking everybody that has supported the Cana Girl Speaks podcast. If you've watched it, if you've listened to the podcast, thank you so much for supporting the podcast. And it's been a while since I recorded a new episode, but I'm thankful that I'm here this evening. And I'm actually thankful to have my two guests on this evening because we are in the end of the month of not celebrating, but the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so I wanted to bring on these two guests to talk about a little bit about their journey. And so without further ado, I want you to introduce to those that are watching on YouTube and those that are listening. We have Deanna Hernandez, and then we have Felisha Hicks. Hall. Welcome, ladies. Thank you for coming on the Cana Girl Speaks podcast. So why don't you tell the listening audience, those that are watching, who Felisha Hall is and who Deanna Hernandez is.
Okay. Felisha Hall, 52, a mother that I personally gave birth to 5, but I have 6 other kids that I claim, so totally 11. 18 grandkids total.
18.
Fixing to have another one next month. Just a person that just love God. That's mainly who I am. People person. I like people, but I just like people that are real. So phony people, I pick up on them quick. So I'm just not interested. That's just me. Just like to be real, be truthful and honest. That's who I am.
Okay. Deanna?
I am Deanna Williams-Henandez, and I am a mother of 3, Christopher, Mondre, and Jalen Minkins. I have 3 grandsons, Adrian Baston, Draylon Minkins, and Dax Minkins. And I have 1 daughter-in-law, Brandy Minkins. I am 52 years old. I have a twin, Diana McBride, and I was born and raised in Corsicana. I am a member of the River of Life Church in DeSoto, Texas, which is my leadership is under Bishop Robert Nichols Jr. And I am a NCSO officer.
Yes.
So I work at the jail, and I am a proud employee to be there.
Yeah.
Love everybody. I am a people person, but I know who to watch.
So, ladies, I wanted to bring you on. Like I said, we are in the month of October, which is a month that they have designated as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I wanted to bring some people, some ladies on to talk about their journey. And so I was so glad when I asked them and they accepted the invitation to come on to the Cana Girl Speaks podcast to talk about their journey. And so, ladies, thank you again for coming on, because I know sometimes people don't want to share their journeys, but I'll just say thank you for coming on and to talk about your journey. So why don't you tell those that are watching and those that are listening, just from discovering you had breast cancer and just that, because my whole thing about this particular episode is I want our women, our young ladies, to be empowered, to know about the signs, and all, and just to know the resources that you have. That's the reason why I wanted to have this episode. So why don't you kind of share a little bit about, your journey from the beginning and, your experience and just, anything to help those that are watching and those that are listening about, breast cancer and all that. So who wants to go first?
I guess I'll go first. Well, for me, in 2019, the first part of 2019, I was just going through a lot of stuff. I made a life choice to follow God. And in that, I had to lose everything, my home, first love, everything at the age of 45. So it was kind of tough. And so I was getting ready to quit my job. I was there like 4 years. and was getting ready to quit my job. And so I started having pain. I worked a lot of overtime, so I knew it was something going on when I started not having energy. I had no drive, no will. And I was like, okay, something's going on. I thought, okay, maybe you're not eating right because you're going through everything you're going through. But then my breast, actually, it was my left breast that was hurting so bad that I literally had to just like hold it because the pain was just so much, so hard for me to bear. And so finally, like I said, I was dealing with life crisis, and I knew the pain because my younger sister, that's a year younger than I am, she had breast cancer. And one thing that stuck out for me when she said she found out that she had it is that her breast would hurt. And then when she went, they told her, no, cancer does not hurt. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of stuck in my mind why, clutching the breast. But I didn't want to deal with it because I was dealing with life. And my daughter-in-law and my sister kept, telling me, okay, you need to go get this checked out. And I was like, nah, I didn't want to because I'm dealing with this. I don't want to deal with that. I kind of had it in the back of my mind. I kind of knew. So I finally decided to go to my gyno. Went to my gyno, told her, having breast problems, having pain. She did the examination. She said, oh, no, cancer don't hurt. She said, you just, menopausal. And so that's what you're dealing with. Okay, immediately after I left, because I didn't accept what she said. I mean, she's a good doctor and everything, but I just knew my body. Mm-hmm. And so immediately after leaving her office, I called and scheduled my mammogram. Went in for my mammogram several times before, they found fat. And it was like, oh, when we see something. And when they said that, I was like, just another false, mammogram. Let me go do this 3D mammogram, and then we're going to be done. When did the 3D? They was like, well, we need to do a biopsy. And then I'm like, okay. Biopsy, okay. So go do the biopsy. When I go do the biopsy, they chip you when you do a biopsy. Mm-hmm. So that became painful. August 1st. But before August 1st, I'm the type of person, if people call me and I don't know your number, I'm going to put you on block. Yeah. And so this weird number called me, and I was like, I don't know this person. So I put it on block. And the number just kept calling. I'm like, okay, did you not see that I put you on block? But then they were leaving voicemails. And I was like, one day I was like, August 1st, 2019. I said, let me call this number back. And I called the number. It was the doctor that did the biopsy. He's like, Miss Hall, is this Felisha Hall? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I've been trying to get you. And I'm laughing because I was like, I put you on block. I didn't, I'm just laughing. He's like, well, we just want to let you know that the biopsy came back. You have cancer. And I'm still laughing. He's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And, I'm just laughing because I'm still thinking, okay, I put you on block and you static out. So immediately when he got the phone, my first instinct was to start crying. But as soon as I started crying, I dried up tears because I'm kind of a tough person. I've been through a lot of stuff, so crying is not my big thing. So anyway, my daughter-in-law and my sister was the only one that knew about me, doing the mammogram, doing the biopsy. So I called my daughter-in-law, and she's like, what's up? And then I was like, it's positive. She's like, and she started crying. When she started crying, I wanted to cry. I was like, no. She's like, she didn't know what to say, but her grandmother had cancer, so her grandmother kind of talked to me. So I avoided my sister. My sister was working in the same town. She didn't live in the same town. So I kind of avoided her, which I was seeing her like maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I just avoided her because I didn't want to let her know that I had cancer. And so one day she, needed me to come to the store, and I went. And then so when I went to the store and she was doing something, she was like, well, how did the biopsy come out? And I just looked at her. When I looked at her, she started to cry. I said, no, don't cry. Yeah. I said, don't cry. I said, I don't want nobody crying. Yeah. And so she kind of understood because she had went through cancer.
Yeah.
And so being that, I didn't want to tell anybody about the cancer because I didn't want nobody crying because I wanted a positive vibe. Yeah. And I felt the less people that knew, the less people would feel sorry for me. I didn't want to feel sorry. I wanted to, go through the process like I needed to go through the process.
So Deanna, what about you? What about you as far as your experience?
I was 2021. I went and got my annual checkup. And Dr. Davis, I was laying on there getting my exam, and she felt the knot, which I was surprised because I always do my breast in the shower. Mm-hmm. And where it was located at, I guess it was just hard to feel it because it's actually sitting on a bone on my left, the lower part of my left breast. And when she said it, I didn't panic. I didn't ask why. I mean, I didn't go into a pity party.
Yeah.
And so she said, we want you to do a mammogram, which I did 3 days later. This was in 2021. And I did the mammogram. They called me right back pretty much the next day. And so they left a voicemail because I missed the call. And she said that the mammogram came back negative. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay. So I was monitoring it between last year and this year. And every time I think I would drink, I think the water supply had went kind of low during the pandemic, the second sprout of it. And so I was drinking mainly ocean spray. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. So when I found the lump up, I said I drank too much ocean spray. Yeah. So I find myself trying to drink water. Mm-hmm. Then it go down. And then when I started working where I'm working now, I was drinking 0 sugars. And I noticed that it stayed down. I said, okay. So then, like I said, when I heard Bishop Nichols, which is Mother Carolyn Nichols, preach that Sunday, she confirmed that it could happen.
Yeah.
She said the doctor told her that it was up and down sugar intake. So all last year, I'm like, oh, it's just sugar intake. Watch your sugar. Don't, So I wasn't trying to eat no Frosted Flakes. I wasn't trying to eat no oatmeal. Nothing to add that sugar to it.
Yeah.
And even I was doing it with Jalen because he loves sugar and he'll pile it up on there. I'm like, you ain't eating cereal, you eating sugar. But anyway, so that went on for a whole year. And I even took pictures of it because I wanted to show her this is how it looked when it's up. Uh-huh. So this year, 2022, I went for my wellness checkup. And I think that day it was just a little up. And so she felt it again. And I said, well, Dr. Davis, I said, if it go up and down, what is it? She said, well, if it go up and down, it's not cancerous. She said, I want you to go and set up your mammogram. I did that. Well, in the same day when I went and did my mammogram, they told me to go into another room to do a sonogram. Mm-hmm. So when the first one that did the sonogram, she said, I want a second person to look at it. So I can't remember his name. He came in, it was a male doctor, and he did the sonogram. And he looked at it, and you can kind of sense that something is not right. You laying there, and they go, So I was like, okay. The whole time in my mind, I always say, Lord, I trust you. Mm-hmm. So I was starting to begin to just repeat that in my mind, like, okay, whatever it is they seeing, and I'm looking, but I can't, we don't know what we're looking at. Yeah. So he said, we're not going to guesstimate. Let's go in for a biopsy. So I went a week after that to do a biopsy. And like you said, it hurts. And I ain't going to lie about that. It literally hurted. And so they did that, and they said, we'll give you a call back. And they called me 2 days later after that, I believe. And the voicemail, she had to leave a voicemail. So the lady said, this is so-and-so, so-and-so. The lady, when you call back, ask for the doctor. She didn't want the nurses to tell me. Mm-hmm. So I asked for her. And I remember standing up in my living room, and my son was in his bedroom, Jalen. And when she told me it's cancerous, I did not panic. Only thing I said, Lord, I'm going to trust you. Mm-hmm. I called my twin, Diana, and I said, I have to say how I said it. Pee-wee, they said it was cancerous. I said, what we going to do now? And she said, who do you want to tell first? I said, let's tell all the sisters. I'm trying not to cry. I said, let's tell all the sisters. And then she said, well, how you want to tell Jalen, Christopher, and Dre? And I said, okay, we just going to take one step at a time. We was on Zoom call. So now I'm looking at all my sisters. And I remember soon as, because Pee-wee is more like our secretary. She can take notes. Don't forget none. I'm like, girl, how can you do that? But she she can get the information across just like the doctor said. Even the doctors told me when she went to all my appointments with me when I got prepared to go to start doing my chemo. So she would take all the notes down because like me, I have to record it to remember. So when we got ready to tell the sisters, she was talking first and she was like, well, we called y'all to tell. Well, when she said that, everybody looking, like, what is it? So when she told them, I'm like you, they wanted to cry. And I said, hold on. I said, I don't want y'all to cry.
Yeah.
So Diana was like, when we got off the phone with them, she kind of called me back and was fussing at me. She said, you can't tell us not to cry.
Yeah.
I said, I don't want y'all to cry. It's no hope.
Yeah.
Right.
I said, because I'm trusting God through this.
Yeah.
I said, no, I know y'all going to cry, but I hadn't got to that point yet.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
this
then
is
we
emotional,
moved
y'all.
on. We moved on to call, my mom and my auntie died in the same year. And my auntie passed away with the liver, the bone, and the cancerous all together. And we had like a short notice to even do that grieving part.
Yeah.
So that was in my mind, like I'm fighting this for my Amy. So when we called the cousins, my auntie's kids, to tell them, Pee-wee told them. So they was calling one at a time, different days. And I was like, one of my cousins, she crying. She couldn't even get it out because they didn't know what to expect when they called me. But Pee-wee was telling them it's okay to call Pumpkin because she's in good spirit about this.
Yeah.
And so Laura, which is going through it now, she told me, she said, cuz you're going to have some bad days. When you get off to yourself, when you feel lonely, you're going to have that. But I told myself, I said, I'm not going to have no lonely days. I am going to keep good spirit up. Because my mind thinking was, people, we done fought Corona.
Yeah.
I said, they said that was
Yeah.
deadly. My mom died with it. With it, because my dad said we don't die of nothing, we die with it. So she died with it. So in my mind, I was thinking, if certain people's done lived through that, I can live through this.
Amen.
So when we told my kids, to my knowledge, they didn't cry. Jalen, everybody have to know Jalen. So Jalen is, when I told him, I said, Jalen, you know what we believe. I said, we not going, mama going to get through this.
Yeah.
When I told Christopher, I said, Christopher, mama going to get through this. Dre kind of was like the softie. Mama, what if? Ain't no ifs. We going to get through it. So that whole process of getting prepared, talking to the oncologist and them, I was in good spirit. I mean, to be honest, no days have I had to say, why me, Lord?
Yeah.
Because he told me, he said, I'm going to use you for the glory. I'm going to use you for this purpose so other people can say, for right now, I got one more treatment, but the stuff they said you was going to have, I ain't had none of that. Because every day when I got home, and it's just, the only thing that I said, I'm not going to go through none of this. I'm going to go through strong. And I said this to the Lord. I said, Lord, I know you're not going to bless me. This is me. I just started at the jail. And I just came into a new relationship. And I said, Lord, I know you're not going to bless me with this for it to get taken away this short time.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to try. And I have to say this, like, I was at church the Sunday before I started my first chemo. If everybody know how the river operates, we on a whatever. If the Lord say run, we gonna run. If he say walk. And that particular Sunday before I started my first chemo, the Lord had me to walk in the sanctuary while the service was going on before Bishop even got up to preach. And I walked, he said, walk 3 times, make a lap, and don't say a word. And I did exactly that. But at the end, I just started saying, Lord, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust you. Bishop got up and preached about the 7 men walking around the wall and said the first 3 rounds, he had them to walk. He said, don't praise him. Don't say a word. He said, just walk in silence. And that was my confirmation that he gave me. Was like, God, I'm going to go through this and not complain. I'm going to go through this and I'm going to do. And I told the doctors, they laugh at me, but I told them, I said, listen, I said, I'm putting y'all in God's hand. And so I'll back everything, people like, I ain't gonna do that what the doctor say. But I told him, I said, I'm gonna trust y'all because I done put y'all in God's hand. But that's how the process went. Like everything that I know I don't have no control of, I don't stress about it. I just go through it, or the Lord will figure out how a way to get me out of it. And that's how. So even when I told the captain and lieutenant, I told lieutenant first because she's a woman. I said, Lieutenant, I got to come up there and tell you something. And I told her, and we was crossed the desk, and she was like, "Oh," I said, "No,
don't cry."
Right.
No. She said, "Is it anything?" And they have been so supportive of me. The captain calls me all the time saying, "Deanna, is it anything that we can do? Deanna, is it anything we can do?" And I'm just like, my support group is amazing.
That's
from my
right.
family support
That's
group,
good.
from my job support group, from my relationship support group, friends, just even at my church family. And I was like, I had to get myself prepared for this because I've always been that one to go. And Latricia Hervey said, Pumpkin, when people want to help you, let them help you.
Let them help you.
It was confirmed Sunday. Bishop just came up to me and said, I know it's hard. I know it's an adjustment, but let people do what they want to do.
That's right.
Because I have never been my kids never seen me sick.
Yeah.
So it was like a fight. But I'm going to say this, even when I started chemo, I let Bishop bless the oil. And every time I would get out the shower, I would use that oil like lotion. And I said, God, whatever I'm going through, let it be abnormal to what people say for me to expect. So I all my hands, my feet, never had the neuropathy.
Yeah.
Never had no pain. Never had no real sickness. Nothing. And I'm like, I want this to be something where I can really tell people, go get your checkups. Go do what the doctors tell you to do.
Yeah.
Because I said, Lord, you bless them in this field. Give them the knowledge to where it can help me.
Yeah.
We got to trust people. Yes, we trust God, but we really got to trust people that we put our lives in.
That's right.
In the hands. And this process has been so easy for me.
Yeah. So you had double mastectomy, right?
I had a double mastectomy.
But you had no chemo and no radiation.
No chemo. My cancer is DCIS stage 3, ductal carcinoma in situ. It's where the cancer was in the milk duct.
Okay.
So it was I had no, only option I had was mastectomy. And it was in the right, and I chose to take both of them because I didn't want to go through it again.
Yeah. And so you're in your last treatment, but you won't have to do any.
No, my first treatment started August the 1st, and and I had it every 3 weeks, and it was they said it wasn't grade and stage is 2 different things.
Yeah.
So they was always calling mine grade.
Yeah.
And it was grade 3. Grade 3 is the highest you can get in a location.
Okay.
So when they said that, it could have moved.
Yeah.
From last year when she said it was negative. The devil wanted me to get mad because everybody was like, girl, I sue them if I was you. But the Lord reminded me, he said, I took you from a whole year and it didn't move.
Didn't move.
And I said, okay, now I'm straightening back up because now I'm listening to people saying, girl, I'll be mad.
Yeah.
But in that same breath, the Lord said, but I kept you a whole year.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
But they said it was only a grade 3 in that one spot. And that's why they said they was going to do the chemo first so it can stop, shrink and won't spread.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So she's almost done with that. She has one more treatment and no chemo.
I did a treatment yesterday. That was my 5th one. And then the 6th one is the last one.
Yes.
And then they'll do surgery.
So why don't you just kind of share with those that are listening, the importance of, like you said, getting your checkups, and all that. And for us as women, not to be afraid of our bodies and all that, that's very important for us.
Yes. And like I say, it's very important. People now, even men, they afraid to go to the doctor because they're afraid to get bad news. Yeah. But the sooner you get it, the better chance that you don't have to go through the whole lengthy thing. Yeah. And I was blessed to, like I say, the whole year. But I every year I would go and get my exam. So it's important to get an exam so you can keep up with your body. Because some things will sneak up on you. You don't even have to, like she was saying, you don't even have to feel a pain to even realize something is there.
Yeah.
And by the time you say, oh, I'm not, you wait too late, and then
Yeah.
you get stuck, or you somewhere and all of a sudden you get sick and you don't even know what it is. Now they got to go and treat everything. So it's important to get your exams yearly.
Yeah.
Don't wait every 2 years, and to get your mammogram is very important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stay up on that.
Yeah.
I say it's very important to be in tune with your body.
Yes.
Know your body.
Yeah.
Because you know, if anything is off in your body, you know personally first yourself.
Yeah.
Because nobody can tell you anything about your body but you.
Mm-hmm.
So know your body first and foremost. And it's okay for, you know, some people have, it's okay to listen to other people's stories, but don't stick to their story. You have to have your own story. Because what might work for one may not work for the other. Me, myself, personally, I felt that the less people that knew, the better I would be, because I didn't want anybody to feel pity for something that I had to go through. It was necessary that I had to have cancer. So it was something that I had to go through. So I don't need you to pity me for something that I have to go through. And I wanted positive vibes.
Yeah.
When you have negative vibes, it causes you to be sick. It causes you to be stressed. And then the enemy is talking to you because of all the negativity around you. Anything happens, if it's cancer, diabetes, whatever it is, find people that are positive, that will stay positive with you, that will help you get through whatever that you're going through.
That's right.
And it's crazy. It's not crazy, but that's the word we use. But it's crazy you saying that, because I have a sister at church that before I even came about with this, she called me, I think it was in end of November or December. And she said, Sister D, she said, I have to call you. She said, you was one that I know would be my prayer warrior. And she called me with stage 4 cancer. And it was so crazy how God had me the words, had me the prayer, how we prayed together. She kept me updated on everything. This is in December. Every time she would go get her treatment, she'll call me the next day, say, sis, this is how I'm feeling. This is how I'm doing. This is what happened today. All this time, and then here it is, come May, I get so the Lord was saying that, you remember what you told her?
That's right.
I was like, sister, we gonna get through this. She came in one Sunday in church and she had a head wrap on. And of course I usher at my church, and as soon as I sat down, she started texting me. And she said, sis, I'm losing my hair. And the only thing I could tell her, but you better rock that bald head.
That's right.
So the next Sunday when she came to church, she come in there with her bald head. I said, oh, girl, you looking good. So everything that I was encouraging her to do, the Lord reminded me, said, you got to encourage yourself. And it's, you know, I thank God for the support group I have. It's so crazy how many people and I'm not that person. Because I'm like, no, you don't have to do nothing. And it's just people calling me by stuff and that's why the Lord says, share your
testimony.
Share it. Let people know, hey, I'm going to chemo. And have that smile. It wasn't nothing fake that I was doing, but it's the whole time was saying, I remember what I told him. I'm gonna be faithful, and I'm gonna trust him through the process. And it makes it so much easier, because people that don't believe God, that's when it gets hard, because you don't have nobody to go to. But when you got a relationship with God, and you done told somebody else, and I told people this, I can't faith walk and doubt him at the same time.
That's right.
And he constantly remind me that. So I hadn't doubted him. And I always say, I'm getting through this. And here I am, got one more treatment. I ain't had no sickness. What I have had was weight gain. I gained 6-7 pounds. I tell them all the time, that scale is good. Y'all got to do something with that scale, baby. But it makes it easier when you really trust God.
Well, ladies, I just want to say thank you for just taking the time out to come on the Cana Girl Speaks podcast. I have enjoyed, just listening to you. You have really encouraged me. You've empowered. I know you've empowered others that are listening and watching. So, I'm sure that if you need them to, share their stories with you, y'all call them, and reach out to them, because I know that they would be do a good job of just sharing sharing their experience. And so I always give my guests an opportunity to give a shout out. So anybody I'd like to give this shout out to, like I said, thank you for coming on. So why don't you give a little shout outs?
Well, me personally, I just thank God, because without him, I wouldn't have been able to go through any of the things that I went through.
Okay, Deanna.
I want to give first to God, because he have kept me in my right mind. And secondly, and a whole lot of shout outs, mainly to my sisters. They have been there for me, especially Diana. She have went through, worked and write scripture, whatever it took for me to get started on this journey. My church family, the River of Life Church, my cousinhood, from my job. Oh, I thank God for Navarro County Sheriff Office Department.
Yes.
Captain York and Lieutenant Woodall. They have been so amazing. My job before, I only been there since February. They told me they was going to do a donation, a fundraiser. And it was so amazing how much they raised just for little old me. And Captain calls me all the time, Hernandez, is it something that you need? Is it something that we can do? So I really want to give a shout out to them. Things that the story ain't really been told yet. Yeah. And then just all around community has really been my support. I have amazing support group.
Don't forget about your classmates.
Class 89 in the house, baby. Them are my girls, my classmates. All of them have really surprised me on the luncheon. And I'm good. All the way around, I'm good.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you. Thank you again for coming on the Cana Girl Speaks podcast. And for those that are watching and support the Cana Girl Speaks podcast, thank you always for just listening and watching. And y'all continue just to keep doing what you do. And with that being said, I'm going to say thank you, and y'all have a great week and a great evening. Have a good night.
This is a Legacy Recording Studio production.